today I will go through this super quickly so I can jump to the object-oriented programming with JavaScript. So I hope you already had some bit of experience in the lab, and this will help me go through this very quickly. I will only stop at things that are kind of special to JavaScript. The rest that you're already familiar with from other languages, I will just skip. And I added here just for your reference, so when you review, you have everything. Now, just to remind you, JavaScript is typeless. We don't specify the type, system will know the type. These are the types that JavaScript has: number, string, boolean, undefined, and function. So let me first show you this undefined, what this undefined means. Here it is. So if I go inspect, go to the console, and then just declare a variable, let's say using var x. Now if I just say x, what will be the value of x?
Undefined.
Undefined. So what is undefined?
Typeless.
No, typeless means
Oh, it's not
yes, if you declare a variable and you don't assign any value to it, what is the value of that variable? Undefined. Not now. Undefined. Okay. Now, what is the type of this variable? What is the type of x? Undefined. So undefined, it's a bit, here is this kind of confusing. Undefined is at the same time a value and a data type. Okay? So what is undefined in JavaScript? A variable that you declare and you don't put any value in it. What will be the value of that variable? Undefined. What is the data type? Is clear? Now, there is another little bit confusing value. Let me declare another one. Let me call it y. And I put explicitly the value null. Which means null means I don't know the value. So what will be the value of y?
None.
Null. Excellent. What is the type of y?
No, it's defined. It's maybe
So-
number. Object.
No, yes, it is an object. So null is a value, and the data type of variable that has the value null, what is the data type? Is an object. Okay? So be careful. Undefined is a value and a data type. If you declare a variable and don't put anything inside it, it will be undefined, both in terms of value and data type. If you take a variable and you explicitly put null into it, what is the value of that variable? Null. What is the data type of that variable? Is clear? There is another type called, I can create a type, let's say f, and I make it as a function. Don't worry too much, we will see this. No, this is just a function. Okay? I'm declaring a variable and I assign to it a function. Now what is the type of f? A function. So function is a data type. Function is a data type. So what are the data types in JavaScript?
Function, object, number.
Okay, very good. So here it is. Here it is. Number, string, boolean, undefined, and a function. And the rest? Object. Is clear? Even arrays are objects. So let me show you. Here is how I declare an array. Var a equals curly square brackets. This is an array, empty one. If I say type of a, what is the type of a? Object. Everything else is an object. Of course, I can always declare an object like this. I showed you last time. Student, and I can put the curly brace, and I can put some properties here. First name, colon, something like this. Okay? So now if I say type of student, what will be the type of student? Object. Now type of student dot first name, string. Is clear? Data types are now clear? Okay, let's move on. Now for strings, you already know them. You have the choice. Either double quotes or single quotes, it is a string in JavaScript. String has a lot of functions. I will not go through any of them. There is a very nice documentation here. You can explore more functions. But just to let you know, it has a link to know the length of the string. You can access a particular character using a square bracket, exactly the same as in Java. And the index starts from 0 to size -1. If you don't like this notation, which is the most widely used, you can always use the char add and put the index. It gives you the character at that particular location. Of course, if you try to access something that does not exist, what you will get? You remember the undefined?
Yeah.
You try to access something that does not exist, you get undefined. And finally, you have so many functions that you can use. Like for example, concatenate. If you want to concatenate two strings, you can either use the plus operator, or this is the most widely used, or you can use the concat function, plus other dozens of functions that you can explore if you wish. So this W3C school is the best place to really learn much more. The other 80%. Okay, you can also convert from a number to a string and from string to number. This is the most widely used one. If you have a number, if you want to make it a string, you just say to string. If you have a string and you want to make it a number, you just call it number.parse. These two are the most widely used ones.
Yes.
And very easy. Let me just show you here very quickly. If I just declare here var x equal 10. So if I say x is 10. Now if I say x toString, you see here there is a toString function. I will get 10 with double quote. It's a string. Now if let's say I take 10, have a look at this, 10. And I say parse, sorry, not this way. Number dot parse int and give it a string. You get 10 as a number. So this is very useful, by the way. When you are reading from your phone in JavaScript, it is a string. So if you want to do any operation on it, you have to convert it to an integer. Otherwise, it will do concatenation rather than addition. Yes. So this is very useful. Be aware of it. JavaScript is very rich language. There are many ways of doing things, but this is the most widely used one, and this is the most widely used one. You have other ways if you wish. Everything in here, it has associated examples with the examples that I provide, and of course plenty on the web as well. This is very, very important and very, very useful feature, new to JavaScript 2015, freshly made. It's called string template. Template is string. Yeah. It's just a string template. خلاص. Okay, you're all familiar with the concept of a template. So, especially secretaries, they like templates. So if they want to write a letter, they don't start from scratch. They have a letter, complaint letter, compliment letter, and so on. They just bring the letter, and then what they do? Fill up the name, fill up the dates, fill up some little things, sign it, and send it off. So what is a template?
Like a structure or a form.
Okay.
Something specific, like a letter, as you said.
Okay. So basically, it has some content already, static, and it has some placeholder, some place where you as the user of the template, you will insert in those placeholders. For example, dear, and it says enter the recipient name. Or following our discussion on, put the date of the meeting, for example. We want to meet you again at, put the place, at this location on this date, and so on. You see the idea.
Yeah.
You have something static, and you have some places, dynamic that at runtime you will put some values there. Is clear? Now, in JavaScript, this is very, very useful. you will come to appreciate it as we move forward. So in here, what I'm doing, I am creating a string template. So this one is static. This is text. I can modify it, full name. I can make it this. And then I will be putting some values from variables at runtime. So so if I want to put values from variables, I put those variables inside $curly brace. And then here's another variable. So the $curly brace. And here I am putting the name of the variable, which is person, property first name. And I'm getting again from the same variable person, I'm getting the last name. So when I finish and when I run this program, what will I get? With the first name
and the last name.
Samir from this object, and it will pull Samir from the same object, and then it will construct that string for me. What is the alternative of doing this? Concatenation. But that's not very nice, concatenation. This one is more elegant, more clear. And with concatenation, it gets very messy. So it is very, 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 very clear. You will appreciate it as we move forward.
This is
Yes.
not a single quotation, right?
No, this is not single quotation. Thank you. This is the kind of the inverted quotation. You have it in my keyboard. I have it in my keyboard beside the Alt key. Most likely you have it in your keyboard.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not single quote. It's kind of single quote inverted. You must have some name, which I don't know. All right. So if you want to try it out, just copy it. All right. This is the nice thing about JavaScript. You have plenty of places. Just copy paste and you run it. No compiling, nothing. And then when I run it, I will get a cool string. You get the idea. Or if I wish, I can put it in a variable, no problem. I can go here, and I will declare a var, let's say message. This is a message. This is a message that I want to display on the web form or somewhere. So I put it in a string, in a variable, and then basically if I say message, it will show me the content of that string. Okay, so string template, very, very useful feature you need to be familiar with, and you will use. Whenever you find yourself doing concatenation to build some string, stop and use the string template. Okay, so let's move on. This one I already explained. Don't let these two values confuse you, the undefined and null. Very clear. Undefined means you declare a variable and you didn't put any value. It will be undefined. The value undefined and the type is undefined. If you explicitly put null means I don't know the value. So when I put null, the value of course will be null and the type will be object. These are the type of things you come in the theoretical exam. I don't think how can I come with the theoretical exam. Those tricky questions of undefined, null, give you some example and ask you for the output. If you don't really understand it, it's tricky. Okay. Yes, please.
So, Doctor, you said the string template, but like you just define an object and then you use the concept with the printing. So where's that kind of template? I didn't get why we call it template here.
Okay. All right. Good. I like these questions. Don't just sit there and something is not clear and you just say, okay, I will understand it later. Stop me and we can explain it. No problem. Even if delays us, it's better to have strong foundation rather than shaky one, and then you have problems later on. So why we call this a template? Because basically, look, this one is some kind of model. At a runtime, I will inject in it some values to make up a new string or a new object. Okay. So here I'm not defining the actual object. I'm defining how to make it, how to create one. So, for example, this becomes very, very useful. If I have a list of students, many students, I can loop through that list and use the same template to produce, let's say, rows. Remember, you will see this very shortly, by the way, maybe next lab, where let's say you have a list of students in a JSON object that you haven't seen yet. Anyway, you have a list of things, and you want to make it as a row in a table. So every row will become a template. So you create a template for the row, and then you feed the data to that template to generate the text.
Between these two kind of quotations.
Yeah, like let's call them like inverted single quote.
Yes.
Maybe it's the right
This is the
term.
part of the template you're talking
Sorry?
about. So this is the exact part of the template.
No, this whole thing is a template. So a template has something static, will never change. It will be the same for all the usages of the template. Now this one will change based on what you feed to it at a runtime, based on what you give it at a runtime.
Dr. Smith, very convincing. Yeah, you can still use the concatenation. It's the same thing.
You can, of course.
But this one is more fancy, like it's easier.
Not only this, like when you are writing it, it will convince you more when we get to a realistic usage of it. But you can use concatenation if you wish. But like this one is a very, very welcomed addition that many people appreciate in JavaScript 2015. Very heavily used, that's why I emphasized on it. But you might not be convinced now, but as we move forward, hopefully it will become clearer, the added value of this. All right, so hopefully the undefined and null will not confuse you. Another confusing value that is specific to JavaScript, it's called not a number. So in this one, let me show you what it means. Here it is. So if I try to do something silly like this, a times 3. It's a string times a number. It doesn't make too much sense, isn't it? So how does JavaScript react? Does it throw an exception? It shouts. Yes, it gives you a special value called not a number. It means it tried to do it, but it doesn't make too much sense. So what is the output? Not a number. Now, if you want to check that this one is not a number, you might do something like this. Yeah, so is this, what will, if I press enter, what will be the value? Is it true or false? True. So this times this is not a number. Surprisingly, it gives me false.
I can't.
Okay. So this one, it's a string times a number. It is
Not a number.
not a number.
Because it's not
But
a type.
if, sorry?
Maybe because it's not a type.
It's kind of the way they have implemented it is a bit weird. You cannot check for not a number using this equality symbol or equality operator. There is a special function called isNone to check. So just be aware, if you want to check that something is, for example, this one is not a number. If you want to check if something is a number or not a number, what you use? A function called isNone. So if I try something like this, times 4 times plus 4, this one is not a number. So just be aware of it. Some nonsense mathematical operation. If you try to execute it, what will be the value coming back? None. If you want to check before you do it, or let's say you receive this result, and you want to check whether it's a valid number or non-valid number, what should you use? Isnone. Okay. If it's not a number, you will get true, otherwise it will be false. So be aware of these special values that could quickly confuse you in JavaScript. We already seen this. If you want to check the data type, you use the type of function. Now operators. Operators, you're already familiar with this. I'm not even going to bother looking at them. Same operators you have seen in C++ and Java. The arithmetic, the logical, the comparison, the assignment. Exactly the same. Now the only difference is that JavaScript has, for equality, you have double equal and you have triple equal. These are some little things that are very unique to JavaScript. This is the way they have designed it. These are the designers, the way they have chosen to do so. Now let me show you. Here it is. Now if I do 2 equal 2, what will be the result of this? True or false?
Because
Okay, string
it's not a number.
and a number. Okay. So if I compare a string with a number, they have the same value except the data type is different. What will be the result of this? False. Surprise. Good. So this is by design. Yes. Thank you. This is by design. If you put double equal, what does it mean? Ignore the type. Thank you. Compare the values. Ignore the type. Make them the same type and compare them. Now, if I want to consider the type in the comparison, what should I use? Triple equal. Now, if you use 1 equal, it is assigning. So not 1 equal. Triple equal. What will be the result of this? Another tricky question for the exam. Because the theoretical exam, I can't ask you to write code. You will write code. No, concepts. You will see concepts like this. Some tricky ones. The tricky ones, you will see it in the theoretical exam. It's clear the difference between the double equal and the triple equal. And usually you should go with the triple equal. That's the best practice. Always go, when you are comparing, use the triple equal because it honors or it considers both the data type and the value. If you use double equal, it only compares the values and ignores the data type. Okay. So this is basic. By the way, this is how you learn a new language. You don't start from scratch, and that's the idea of doing university. You get the foundation, and then when you go to the real life, you will always learn the delta. That's it. You have the foundation. You learn the delta, and you can move very fast. If I were to teach JavaScript without you having that background, we would have been still in the variables. Because you have the background, we are just going very fast and only stopping in special things that comes with the language. Okay. The rest is just a quick revision. And the good news is all languages, you have variables, expressions, statements, switch, loops, arrays, classes and objects. Okay? So, but it's slightly different. It looks the same on the surface. As we move deeper, it is different. Okay? So far, kind of the same with some weird little things. Okay? Yes, please.
If the double quality with this
Yeah.
this means not equal with not.
Yes. If you want to compare inequality, you use the exclamation mark equal.
Here it will ignore the type.
Yes, in here it will ignore the type, and here it will consider the type. Yes.
What if we use only one field? It will be equal.
If you use one in,
Assign, yeah.
it will be a sign. Yes, it's a different. Yes. Okay. Now conditional statements exactly the same. No need to even spend much time in here. So in here we have a number. I just want to know if it's even or odd. If it's divisible by 2, you see here I am using triple equal. If it's divisible by 2, it's even. Otherwise, it is odd. You already know this. Switch exactly the same. Copy paste. No difference whatsoever. But just don't forget your break. You have seen this in your 151. Now, if you put a condition. Usually when you put a condition, you put an expression. You say if some expression, if it's true, I do something else, I do something else. Now, if that expression results on any of these values, that expression will be false. So false is false, 0 is false, empty string is false, none is false, undefined is false, null is false. Any other value is true. This is very important to understand. Yes. Is clear?
Yeah.
So if you say if a times 2, that a times 2 will be?
Not
Will be false. Because it will be none, and none is false. If you have a variable that's declared before, and it has no value, and if you say if that x variable you didn't initialize, what will be the value of that variable? Undefined. And undefined is false, and that expression will be false. If I put, like, let's say, if the letter A in a single quote, that expression will be true or false?
NAM, which is false.
The question will be true.
Okay, so if I say something like this, if A
False.
console
Because it's a string.
dot log. So what do you think? Will be true or false?
False, because it's undefined.
No, it's defined. It's a
Here this is not a variable. This is a list. This is a value.
Yes.
Okay. Is it an empty string?
True. No, it's
It's not an empty string, so it will be true. And I will see on the screen true. Now, if I make it empty string is false, so I will not see anything. Is clear? So be aware of this. These values are false. Other than these values are true. That's it. Now loops. Exactly the same story. Copy paste from Java, and Java copy pasted from C++. Okay, this is the while loop. This is the do while loop and the for loop. You're already experts on this. Now, what is specific to JavaScript is these two very nice loops. It's called for off and for in. Now, for off, as you can see here, if I have a list of things, like an array, I can quickly navigate through it using this nice loop called for off. So in here I'm visiting every number in this array, I put it in this variable number, and then I'm doing the sum. And at the end, of course, I will give the sum at my hand. Okay? Now, it's very clear. Now, for in, let's say you have an object, some object, somehow you got that object, and you don't know what is the properties of that object, what are the elements in that object. You can discover it using this for in. Say for every property in this object, I want you to display the property, and I want you to display the value of that property. This will become clearer later on. I will come back to it when we look at objects in more depth. But for now, there are two special loops in JavaScript. One is called for off. When do you use this for off?
For the list.
Yes, when you have a list and you want to iterate through the list. You want to visit every element, use a for off. It's very compact, very clear. Now, and always don't forget to declare your variables using the let. Same thing here. Now, if you have an object and you want to go through the properties of that object, and you don't know the properties, you can put that object in a for in loop, and then you can discover the properties and their values. Is clear? So let me run this one. I will just add one more thing so it is clear. Console.log, and I will do here sum. Okay, so let me copy this. Alright, here it is, and let me clear. Alright, paste it. Console, okay, thank you. So console is lowercase. Alright, it gives you 6. So it visited every element and keep accumulating it in this variable sum and then display the sum. Now, so let me go back here and fix this one. And now let me come back and take this. So in here I have, let me go back here, clear this, and paste it. Alright, so I have an object that has two properties. And I want to go through that object and just discover those properties and display them. So I'm doing for every property in this object in. Instead of off, I use in. And I say, here is the property name, column, here is the value of that property. So you can see here an object, you can deal with it like an array. You can go to an object and say, give me the value of this particular property, and you put the property name, square brackets. We will see this in more details if this is confusing to you. So here it gives me the property name and its value. Property name and its value. Is clear?
We used to output each one separately. Now, in Java, for example, we used to output each property separately, like in a system or something. Now it's...
Yeah, but in Java, can you discover it?
No, because in Java, we for example, we used to say sysout first name, then last name. We can't do this.
Yeah, in here, by the way, in here, the object you might not... let me show you. Something a bit scary. Scarier than this. There are a lot of built-in objects in Java. Sorry. Here it is. Here it is. Okay, let me clear. Come on. Okay, here it is. Now, this object, you might know what is in it. But I might use a built-in object called document. Remember the document object we've seen last time? I'm spelling it correctly. I don't know how many properties in that document object. I am looping through to discover it. I just have an object, I don't know what it is. I want to discover what it is. How do I discover it? Put it in a for in loop, and then you can see what's in there. You don't even know what it has. See here? Many things. Okay, these are... Yes, you give here the name of the object, and you can loop through it and discover the properties of that object.
Yeah. This is for the document that we always use.
A document which is a built-in object in the browser. The browser has a built-in object called document to look through and find out.
So the output will return the object attributes and its types?
And the name.
And does it
location.
have F name and last name?
Sorry?
Does it have F name and last name?
No, because I didn't look through. Okay, did this confuse you?
No.
Okay, let me just redo it.
I mean, document, isn't it all the properties that this object has?
No. Document is a built-in object.
Okay.
I removed that line. That's confusing me.
Here, the concept is still object.
Yes, thank you, yes. That's why we had, yes, thank you. Very good. Thank you, very good compiler. All right, that's it. You see the values? You see here, location. Location, by the way, it's an object, and these are the values of that object. So now I'm discovering this object I never came across, and I can see all the values of that object, including the functions. Okay, so let's move on.
The objects inside the object.
Yes, this is a feature. No, this is a feature of the console. The console is very powerful. This is not a feature of this one. Okay, the console. This console you see here is written by Chrome. Has nothing to do with JavaScript. If you put an object, you can discover it. You can discover what's in that object. Let me show you. This is not the point I wanted to say.
If we compile this somewhere else, not in the browser, we will not see the inner objects.
Yes, if you just do console outside the browser, you will not see this. So let me show you what I want to say here. Let me just grab this, although I have to move on. This is not what I want to focus on. I just want to tell you that there are two loops, for off and for in. And you're dragging me here. All right, no problem. So what I'll do here is var. Now if I just say console .log and I put here obj.
Yes,
In this case, if it is a complex object, let me just do this one, document. You see here, document, because it is an object that has many things. This is the feature of the console, not the JavaScript. If it's a complex object, you can kind of explore it. Okay. Anyway, let's move on. Here it is, where we are up to. Okay, arrays. Again, arrays, super simple in JavaScript. Open your square brackets and put the values separated by them. In here, this is an array of numbers. This is an array of strings. This is an array of mixed stuff. This is unique to JavaScript. Of course, in real life, you might not use it, but just be aware, because it is a dynamic language,
It's like
you can mix.
stack, or what they used to call it, get the name, in C++, before the classes.
Structure.
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 Yeah.
No,
So
structure is like
yes, it's
the
different.
early
like-
concept of objects. Structure is like creating a class or an object. In here it's different. It's just an array, which is a sequence of values. In C++ and Java, they must be the same type.
Yes.
In JavaScript, it could be different type, because it's a dynamic language. You are not constrained. Now, if you want to have a two-dimensional array, an array of arrays, no problem. This is your first array, and this is first element is another array. This is kind of a matrix. I already explained this one. If you want to look through an array, the best way is for off loop. Here, if you want to reverse it, although there is a function to reverse it, you don't need to create a loop. But just in case you forgot that there is a reverse function, this is how if you want to initialize it. You should be all familiar with this. Let's move on. Dynamic array. Arrays in JavaScript are dynamic, which means you can extend them and you can shrink them at runtime. It's very, very dynamic. So if I want to add some element to the array, I use push.
It will be pushed to the tail.
To the
Yes.
tail, not the head, yes, thank you. To the end of the array. If I want to get the last element of the array, I can use pop to get the last element.
To get it, I mean, not
To remove it, basically. To remove it and get it. So when I do pop, if I assign that to a variable, I get in that variable, the value that was removed will be assigned to that variable. Okay?
yeah, no, if
So-
you put something between the brackets,
No, if I do pop, it will do two things. The value that was removed will be assigned to the variable I put. If I put here let
x equal array dot
x
pop.
equal array pop, it will be the value removed. Okay? Now, the most widely used one is this very, very powerful function called splice. Very, very powerful. What you can do is to say, go to this index and remove this many elements. Okay? You can also put comma here and put some elements you want to add. You can remove and add at the same time with this splice. Okay? So very powerful function. You go to a particular element in the array, say how many you want to remove, and then at the same location you can add more elements. Okay, so very, very useful, very widely used, very, very widely used. So for example here, if I say splice 1, 1, what does it mean? Go to index 1, which is this one. How many will you want to remove? 1. So when you remove it, the things that is removed will be assigned to another variable. If I wish, I could put comma 10, comma 50, and then the array will become A, 10, 50, C, D. So splice, you can use it to remove, at the same time add. Add at that location, at that index location. All right, there are many others.
Okay.
Yes.
You start from position 1 and then it's from the end? It's
No.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
sorry.
how
It's
many
B,
you
it's
want
B,
to
yeah.
remove? So you remove, and then at the same position, you can add if you wish.
Yes, yes, I
If you do comma and put some new values, you can add. Now there are many other functions, like for example, and shift to insert at the beginning, at the head of the array, or shift to remove from the head. Not very commonly used. Splice is the most commonly used, this one. This one you should be very familiar with, very useful, okay, you can sort the array, you can reverse it, you can concatenate two arrays. You can take an array and make it a string, separated by space or comma or whatever. Very, very powerful. Every function there is an example in the examples. So I will not go through them because it's just a matter of running them and getting familiar with them. Now, these are very powerful functions. We will heavily use in this course, and I will go through some of them. So you come to an array, and you say every element of this array, I want you to apply some transformation. Okay? And this is basically called functional programming. Functional programming, you have a set of values, you go and do some transformation to them, and you get another array. Right? So the original array is untouched. This is your original array. What you do is you visit every element, you do some transformation, and you produce another array. Okay? And to do this, the most common function, I should put this first. Yes, the original one and the transformed one. Okay? This is a programming style called functional programming. You don't change the original data structure, you produce a new one. Okay? So let me show you. Can we do it? Let's go through a pre-built example so we don't waste time. Alright, so let me see. Alright, very good. This one. So here it is. So here I have a function, very straightforward function as you can see. This function is square, it takes a variable, and then it squares it and returns the square of that variable. Now I have this array here, as you can see. I have this array. Numbers, array of numbers. And then what I want to do, I want to go through this list and basically apply the square function to each element. Okay, you will see today, it's very easy, just do a loop and do it. But in JavaScript, it's very concise. In one line you can do it without any loop. So what is the magical function you use? Map. Map is a function, here is the power of JavaScript. This is quite unique. Although Java and other languages are trying to learn from this and add these functional programming features to their language. They try to catch up. But JavaScript have this built in from day one. So what you can do, you can pass a function as a parameter to another function. Here's a bit of, you start now seeing the power of JavaScript and how it makes your code much more compact and much more expressive. So, what I'm doing here, what is my goal? First of all, what is my goal? To square all the numbers and create another array with those new numbers. Of course, one way to do it, do a loop, create another variable, and loop through, and then square them and pop them into the other. It's not pop them. What is this? Push them in the new array, and that's it. You have a new array. Another way is to just call the map function, and then basically apply it. Okay, let me now just. Okay, I can use exactly the same. Let me just show you. Here it is. I can go to this square. When I finish with this square, what do I want to do? I want to basically, I know it's becoming a bit confusing, but don't worry. I will explain what's going on. I will go here, console.log x. Let me just take all this stuff and just comment it with block. Comment all of this. So what I'm doing here, I'll be visiting every element of this array, applying a square function to it, And what I will get back from this map is
Squares.
another array of the same size with the square function. Now what I want to do, after I get this square, again I visit every element and then display it. I use the map function again. So map is, you give the map, you pass a parameter to it, which is a function. So you can either define the function and pass it, or you can pass the function, define it as a parameter. You see here? I could always, look at this, I can cut this if it's too much for you at this stage. I can put it here outside, okay? And I will call it, let's say, display. And then I'll pass it here, no problem. That's it, let me try to run this. So basically these numbers have been squared and these are the numbers. So you can see here, this is the power of functional programming. In functional programming, when you pass parameters, currently, so far what you have seen is that when you pass parameters, you're passing variables or values. In here in JavaScript, what I'm passing as a parameter? Function. So function is a variable that can be passed around. So function is, basically I can, have a look at this. I can declare a variable, here is a var, let. Another way of writing a function, I can declare a variable and assign a function to it. So function is, you deal with it as a variable.
Yes, we said.
So function is a really a variable. Okay? And then you can, not only you can call it, I can always call this, have a look at this. I can always call this one. I can display. I can call it, doesn't matter, all right? It's just a function. I can pass it around as a parameter to another function. This is the real power of JavaScript that you don't see in other languages. Okay? And this, as we move forward, you will see this is very, very useful. And as we move forward, it becomes more and more clear why this is very, very useful.
So after here you give it a tag, now you will use it.
Sorry?
The last step of the school one. You will pass the tag now. You might display and then cool. What you will do with it?
No, what I want to say here, this one, there are, okay, let me go back. If I want to declare a function, there are two ways. Many ways, but these two ways at least. So I can just use the keyword function, followed by the name of the function, and then I open the parentheses, put the parameters, and then put the body of the function. And when I finish, I do return. You're already familiar with this, you've seen it. Now what is new? JavaScript functions is a really a variable. You can assign a function to a variable. Have a look at what I'm doing here. Up to here. I'm declaring a variable called display. I'm not assigning to it 5 or 10 or hello, or I'm assigning to it a function. So this variable is a really what? Function. And to prove to you that it is function, what I'm doing here? I'm calling it. Here is a function call. This one is function definition and this one is function call. Now, not only I can assign a function to a variable, I can also pass a function as a parameter to another function. Are you clear? Yes. Okay. Now, if I want to confuse it, just give me 1 minute. If I want to confuse it a little bit more, I can basically instead of doing it this way, I can pass the function on the fly. You will see this all the time in Java, in JavaScript.
Like anonymous or something.
Yeah.
For objects.
Sorry?
Yes.
No, the function definition, instead of defining it first and then passing it, you pass it on the fly. Anonymous, this is anonymous function. It doesn't have a name. It's very common. The JavaScript people, they are not scared of this type of style of code. You pass parameters as a function, as another function. Now, the ES 2015, like JavaScript 2015, I can write it in a little bit even more scary way. I can write it this way.
Operations, yeah.
No, I can write, this is called an arrow function. I can pass it like this. Very concise. That's it. So what this will do, it will visit every element of the array and square it.
Yeah, the map would visit, right? The map function.
The map function, yes. The map function will visit, and then this is the function it will apply to each element.
Doctor, we have to define x output.
No, basically x represents the element that is currently being visited.
So we can put A or C.
Yes, very good, yes. Here it's up to you. You put element E, no problem. Okay. So inshallah I will come back to this next time. The main thing I want to leave you with, functions you can assign them to variables, and functions you can pass them as parameters to other functions. And this opens the door to another new world of programming. It's called function programming, and we extend it to what is known as asynchronous programming. We will see what this means.
Because the last thing we did was E equal this.
This one?
Yeah, what does it mean?
Okay, here this is basically called an arrow function. What it means is take every element of this array and apply this transformation to it. Yes, it's called a lambda expression. Yes, you map this element of transformation. Okay, no but we agreed that you would change your name to something else.